If you're planning to scale your recruitment agency by adding more headcount, you're about to waste a fortune. Why? Because you don't have a hiring problem, you have a systems problem. I'm Nick, I'm the founder of Bottleneck Solutions. We've had 30 plus recruitment agencies scale faster without adding more headcount using AI systems and automation. In this video, you will learn why switching between client hunting and candidate sourcing is costing you a fortune, the 4 main bottlenecks that break agencies and how we solve it, and the exact roadmap that you can start implementing today. If you are a founder managing a 10 to 15 person agency and every new hire feels like adding more complexity than adding more revenue, then let me show you a different approach. Okay, so first let's talk about why most agencies actually break. So most founders actually think scaling is quite simple. They just hire more recruiters, they win more clients, revenue just grows by itself. But here's what actually happens when you hit 10 to 20 people. We call this the pendulum effect, which just basically means that your whole team just switches from client acquisition to candidate acquisition, back and forth, and nothing really picks up speed because you're always ending up with a bottleneck. It's just unpredictable. Your pipeline is a roller coaster and basically just like blocks your pipeline from growing constantly. So you're constantly firefighting it because without a repeatable process, every day feels like starting from zero. So here's a simple example how to understand it. Let's say you have like 10 job openings you're recruiting for. You're working on the roles, you're sourcing candidates, you're just busy doing that stuff. And then on the next month, you fill, let's say, 3 of these roles, 7 roles drop, but then you don't have clients on the next month. It means you're starting from scratch to get new clients onto the business. So without having a streamlined system to cover both, you're basically always in either the candidate's acquisition side or the client acquisition side. So the goal of solving this pendulum effect is basically to get you to the sweet spot, where basically both pipelines balance each other. And that's where a lot of automations can help you solve these issues. Another issue that we see on the market right now is that agencies don't have a clear positioning. It means they just focus on everything. They do IT, they do finance, they do marketing. So they do basically all roles that just fall on a table, meaning they're not really perceived as a clear expert or specialist in their niche, which is just not working anymore. Clients want specialists, so they don't want a transactional CV delivery service that just throws over profiles, because this is what everyone can do. You can just put on a job listing on LinkedIn, you can just get the replies, forward them the CVs, which basically makes no sense. It has no values. So clients want an expert that understands the market, knows why you should need this talent, actually can help you develop a job description, just makes you more valuable with like an advisory function than instead of just like a transactional CV delivery service. So the problem that arises when you don't have a clear positioning is that you're basically in a race to the bottom. So you're a generalist and you can create a scalable outreach motion because every client needs a different messaging. It's super hard to scale, and ultimately you're competing on the price. It means you have to justify your fees, and it's a race to the bottom, which just makes margins small and doesn't help you in any way with profitability. So this is why your outreach doesn't work. This is why you're stuck in low-fee deals, and this is why every new hire creates more problems instead of more profit. 4 bottlenecks you must fix to scale efficiently. After working with 30 plus agencies, we know quite a bit about how to use AI and automation for recruiters. And fixing these bottlenecks doesn't just add efficiency, it basically changes the whole trajectory of your agency. So let's start at the very top, your lead flow. So what is currently broken with lead generation in recruitment? So it's currently still super time consuming. Recruiters are doing this all manually, spending hours on scraping LinkedIn, checking job boards, building outreach lists by hand, which means they spend probably 80% of their day just getting data, which is one of the easiest tasks that automation can take over for you. Then slow pre-screening means every inbound candidate, every application that comes in on your job listing basically gets pre-screened by hand, meaning recruiters have to go through hundreds of CVs per week. Each CV, let's say, costs them 15 minutes to make sure it's actually a fit. Takes a lot of time. So you're going to build a huge bottleneck there, and shortlist will take you days to basically get built, and also then extend the time to hire immensely. Inefficient outreach. Outreach is done highly manual and shoot in the dark. Many recruiters are cold calling leads with no hiring signal. It means they basically talk to people that actually are not even hiring, pitching them services they don't need, meaning they end up speaking to people which are completely irrelevant and are not buying anyway. So another big issue that we're seeing is generic messaging. Means that messages are just not relevant for the people that are receiving them, either if it's a client or a candidate. So clients get just a messaging with, hey, we can help you fill these roles, even if they're not even hiring for these roles, or basically don't have ever hired for these roles. So instantly triggers mental spam filters, leads to lower response rates, which are hard to crack in recruitment anyway. So why would you make your life even harder by not using any kind of personalization or at least segmentation of your lists to make outreach more relevant and tailored to the prospect that is receiving it? And of course, the biggest problem, there's no systematic approach, meaning every recruiter just follows their own script, they have their own desk, just do their thing. So it's hard to streamline a process that everyone invents themselves. That means you can't train people on a process that everyone is doing differently. You cannot SOP that. You cannot scale that. That means you need to put a system behind your outreach and your lead generation processes to make it basically scalable. Okay, so this is how we fix the lead generation problem. We first map down your total addressable market. It means we find every company, every contact, and every candidate that would be anyway relevant to your business, and then basically enrich their contact details, their LinkedIn profiles. So get all the information we need to classify if they would be relevant. We tag them, segment them, making sure you have a very tailored list to basically do your outreach on. And what is then very important to also do is basically adding a signal engine. Signals are buying signals that basically show that a company might be hiring soon or is already hiring. This can be things like open jobs. Obviously, the most top of mind signal for you as a recruiter, companies hiring, okay, you can help them fill the role. The problem of that, of course, is once there's an open job on the market, every other recruiter knows as well. So that means it's quite of a delayed signal, but it works anyway pretty well. Another trigger that we use frequently is people joining or leaving the organization, meaning, okay, a new leadership role just joined the company. They usually tend to restructure the team, putting new hires into the team, basically building out the functions, or people leaving the team, leaving a skill gap, meaning like a critical function is missing, a rising opportunity cost for the business, something might break, which is not working anymore. So these just signal you that there's a need for your service. So we basically monitor your whole market list on these signals, and we identify new companies that show these signals and also add them to your market, to your total addressable market list, because sometimes there's new companies arising, etc. What we then do is, whenever there's a hiring signal that pops up, we enroll these in outreach sequences. So these can be done via cold email, LinkedIn, cold calling, but our recommendation always is to use all channels, meaning building a cadence that starts with an email, sends a LinkedIn connection request, then tries a cold call, basically trying to get as much exposure into the account as possible, because they show a sign. Now it's about getting a yes or a no from them. So your ultimate goal should always be to get a reply if they are interested or not. So if they engage with your outreach, we then make sure to basically route them into your CRM and assign them to the recruiters. Speed is crucial here. So the sooner you are back to the lead with the like a appointment suggestion to book them into your calendar, the better. So it's crucial to have a quick speed to lead. The second bottleneck is again related to the panel effect, meaning you can't consistently focus on candidate and client side, meaning you need probably automations that help you balance both of these pipelines. Because this is like one of the the difficult things about recruitment. You have both pipelines that you have to fill. It's not that you have one lead or you sell one product. It's basically that you have to sell your product to basically take an action in either scenario. So makes the whole thing more complicated, but it is how it is in recruitment. And 1 month, for example, just like that 1 month is full, but the next is dry, is probably like a key thing that every recruiter has probably seen already. Specifically, 360 recruiter who needs to cover both sides might know this quite well. So here's how that feels like. You have some great jobs on, you are sourcing, pre-screening, organizing the interview. Maybe you make some placements, but as soon as the jobs are closed, you have no pipeline and you start chasing your tail again. So the same goes, of course, the other way around. You're chasing clients, but then your candidate pool dries out. You don't have any talent in there anymore. It's just very difficult to have short gaps and keep people engaged like a candidate, because candidates, they probably want to make their next career progression very quickly, and then you take 3 months to get a new role on that might be a fit. They probably have already found their next job themselves. Then the next problem is that the past leads go cold. So means you're already filling a role, but you've been probably speaking to 5 other people, but have been so busy filling the one role that you've been working on that you forget the other 4 people, and they fall off the table and drop. So you lose 4 clients because you've been serving one. The problem why this arises is that you don't have a structured nurture and reactivation process. So this is one of the most common things that we see in our clients' CRMs. So leads just have one touch, are covered in dust and mostly forgotten because they don't have a streamlined system that re-engages leads into campaigns. Yeah, even though they might be the best fit for your service, without a system, they will always stay buried in your CRM system. A few ways, an example how we can fix this. So we've already talked about this in bottleneck number 1. You want to basically automate your outreach campaigns as early as possible, meaning you get initial touch points in with your client leads to build a pipeline, getting responses there, and taking away that active time investment from your team so they can focus more on doing calls, doing value-added work, speaking to candidates, speaking to clients. And another thing that is pretty cool here, once you have the client outreach part automated, you can start also building candidate lists automatically, which means probably you have like a new job that you got on, you put that job into an automation, and based on the job description, you build an automatic candidate shortlist, which looks into your CRM, finds the recent candidates that you've been talking to, looks onto LinkedIn, finds candidates that basically would be interesting based on their job title, their recent experience, etc., and then adds them to your CRM system and to assigns them to your recruiters so they can engage your list. So some clients that we've been working with, they took like 5 days to build their initial shortlist, which is ultra long. If you're working with a client who values urgency, which is one of the most important traits for a recruiter, to have urgency, be quickly with their list building, quickly with their outreach to candidates to fill the position quickly, because this is one of the main value propositions a recruiter has, quality and speed. So having a shortlist built quickly is a great thing to automate as well. So, and then of course, further we can enroll qualified candidates into automatic outreach campaigns on LinkedIn and email too to get initial engagement in. So again, a lot of automations that can help with an inconsistent pipeline and talent pool, and how to automate follow-ups as well. So once you have a good talent pipeline and you have a good client pipeline, meaning your recruiters are busy filling roles, qualifying clients, qualifying candidates, the bottleneck that will happen then is admin work. So that means every conversation creates admin work, which means you have to update your CRM, you have to log notes, you have to format CVs, chase candidates for missing infos, etc. This is all time that goes down from your recruiters' daily hours they be working for you. So it means whenever they are stuck in doing admin instead of recruiting, the burnout goes up and the placements slow down. Because at the end of the day, a recruiter is a salesperson. They want to make money. They want to make placements. They want to earn their commission. If they are buried with admin tasks, they're not going to be with you for a long time because they basically are slowed down. And with the current pace of technology, most recruiters know already what is out there, how other agencies operate. And using AI and automation is a huge time saver for them to basically focus on doing placements, doing value-added work, and also for them to earn more commission, which ultimately makes them more happy, I guess. So here's how we can fix this. So most admin stuff that is done on a daily basis can be eliminated or automated. It's just a thing that you don't know what you don't know. So as said, like most recruiters are not very tech savvy. They know there's tech out there, but they still think in tools, which means, okay, they think, okay, if my CRM can't do this automatically, it's not possible to automate it. But there's basically where tools such as come in to build workflows that connect your tool stack with each other, add custom functionality to your business processes, and let AI and automation take over the things that shouldn't be done by a human. So you can literally use tools to connect your tool stack and let AI replicate functionalities that you don't have in your current tools yet. So the goal of all of that is, of course, to enable your team to focus on building human relationships, make placements, and not be buried by robot work. The final bottleneck that we see is that growth keeps relying on only headcount and not systems, which will ultimately break the profitability's neck if you're scaling. Because if you always scale via headcount, you'll always have to pay a fixed salary. You have to pay new equipment. You have to onboard the person. That means they're not being able to produce revenue right away when they are hired. So they're gonna be a cost center. Then they could turn probably into a profit center, but even this is not guaranteed. So you need to have systems to make new hires work and produce an ROI for your business. So what is actually broken? Founders hire to grow, but every new recruiter adds more complexity, like explained. So they need to have onboarding. They need to be basically turned into a revenue generating asset into the business by getting them up to speed quickly. But that's the problem. Onboarding is mostly slow, and the results are inconsistent, and the system depends on people instead of processes. So when your growth strategy is hire more people, you're building a house of cards that will eventually collapse under its own weight. Sounds quite smart. So this is how we help fix headcount dependent growth. So systems first, then growth. So important is to know that once the system runs smoothly, it's time to grow, but not because admin is too much, but because too many leads can't be served. That means whenever you put a new person into the business, they already have leads. They can go into revenue generating mode much quicker because they're not hired to take over more admin work, but to take over more hot leads they can serve and make, of course, more placements with. Then another important thing is basically to focus on retention, building systems that increase the efficiency and, of course, the perceived value from your clients. And this is something I've been talking about earlier as well, that recruitment is going away a bit from this transactional talent throwing CV delivery service approach. Let's say the more advisory or the more advice you can share in the process with your clients, the more perceived value your clients will have. And of course, the less you're going to be competing on fees. So having this makes your clients sticky with you, and you're going to be working with them for a longer period of time and get constant job orders from them by being a good advisor and not only a transactional consultant who sends a profile here and there. And another thing that we built for one of our clients is a client portal, which is actually quite a cool thing. So we basically built a portal where the agency can cooperate with the client and shortlist candidates right into the client system. So the client has their own login. They have a dashboard where they see all the processes they've been working with on the recruitment agency. And the recruiter can always assign new profiles to this client, and they get a notification via email and Slack message they receive. And basically, that takes away this whole email communication and phone approach, because they're working closely together, and the recruiter has basically the option to upsell them new clients every day if they want to, but basically have like a pick and choose for their talent pool, which is quite cool. So the client likes it a lot. So the most important thing here then, of course, is to break the feast and famine cycle. It's about keeping clients and break the feast and famine cycle by holding your good clients and adding value to their business with market and hiring insight no one else can provide, which makes you basically an irreplaceable asset for the client and why they want to keep paying you. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, where do I even start? You don't need to implement everything at once, don't worry. So what we've created is basically the growth roadmap for recruitment agencies and how you scale with systems. So it has 4 phases, and we call these foundation, growth, expansion, maturity. I'm going to walk you through how each of these stages basically work and why it makes sense to follow this. You might not be in foundation, you might be in growth, or you might probably also be in the expansion phase. It depends where you are at now, but basically, let's just look at each of these stages together. Start with the foundation. So if you're just getting started, or you're just having problems getting new clients, you should get first the foundation right, which means nail your positioning, Make sure you have your specific niche and candidate personas and client personas that you're targeting. Don't be a generalist. It's just gonna make your life much harder, especially when it comes to outreach. People want to work with experts. And once you've nailed your positioning, start doing proper outreach. So start using hiring signals, track jobs, track people movements, funding rounds, news announcements, whatever is basically relevant for your industry to predict talent needs and reach out with context. So stop doing spray and pray outreach to everyone, just hoping something sticks. Um, do good outreach and you're going to see much better results. What is good outreach? So you can use also like very, let's say, innovative triggers like social signals, which is quite a hot topic. And if you are active on LinkedIn and you position yourself also with LinkedIn content, can help you to uncover in-market leads as well. Could be, for example, people visiting your LinkedIn profiles, engaging with your content, or even social listening features like tracking hiring posts from decision makers. Let's say someone puts out a software engineer role but doesn't list it on a job listing, wants to basically hire from their network on LinkedIn. They post it on the LinkedIn profile. Automations can also catch these jobs and give you a notification or send them an automated email. Another thing which is, of course, important, don't waste your lists. You've already purchased the data once. Constantly re-engage them until you have a reply. So in best case, a positive, but even though they say, hey, we don't work with recruiters, you know it, and you can take them off your list and narrow down your list of people that actually are worth persuading. So the next phase is the growth phase. So we want to automate placement workflows and admin. So if you've mastered the foundation, you should not have a problem with getting in new clients and building a talent pool that you can connect to each other and make money out of that. So the only thing that limits your growth then is basically admin work that steals your time, because every recruiter has just like 9 hours per day. Of course, most of them are working longer. They also take calls here and there just to get their commission. It's still a sales job, but the less repetitive work they can, or the less repetitive work they have to do, the better for you, because they can take more calls. Even if every recruiter, the admin work is gone and they have 3 hours more per day, they can focus on calls, and you have the lead capacities to provide them with these calls. Put the math down, check that with your conversion rates, and you'll be seeing how much ROI you can, or how much money more you can make by just freeing up time and helping them to focus on sales activities instead of admin work. So, of course, sample workflows are candidate shortlisting, CV anonymization, workflows that basically do follow-up emails to candidates. There's a lot of things that can be done. It always depends a bit on the industry, the business processes you already have running, etc. But it's something that you should take very seriously. When you see that your recruiters are on their max capacity, you should always start automating instead of hiring first. Then the next phase, expansion. So this comes when you already have a lot of automation systems and a very good pipeline. So you should have a very sophisticated recruitment agency at this point. And in this stage, you would internalize the systems and you would hire faster. So that means GTM functions that you have in-house. That means you're not reliant on a lead gen agency anymore. You have that in-house, you build an asset, and that can basically supply your whole team of recruiters with leads. So you don't have to have every of your recruitment team members on their own desk, doing their own lead generation activities, which is obviously not streamlinable at all. So you make it a predictable asset, and we like to call that GTM for recruitment. And we basically also help with internalizing these systems, basically training them for you and helping you build these functions in-house if needed. Okay, so the last part of this roadmap would be basically the maturity phase, where it's about retaining clients, productizing the services, and building an incomparable client experience to keep clients paying you, have a long-term relationship with them to, first of all, secure the business. You don't have to start by zero every month again, so you have recurring income from your clients because they keep working with you, you keep getting roles from them, and probably also retained fees, etc. And in this phase, it's most about building tools, like very business specific tools, like for example this client and candidate portal I've mentioned earlier, which just is a unique business asset that delivers a value to your client, but also, of course, to your team to make them work more efficiently and make the value that you provide to your client much, much higher. I said, as an example, there's a lot of stuff that can be built, a lot of internal tools that can be designed, depending on what you are doing in your work. Um, there's always things that can be turned into a product. So to summarize everything, you've now seen what really breaks when agencies scale and how the best ones fix it without hiring more recruiters. So you don't always need to hire more people. First of all, you need a better system. And the agencies that are implementing these automations now are pulling ahead fast. So if you want help implementing this roadmap in your agency, book a strategy call via the link below, and we'll help you diagnose exactly which bottlenecks are killing your growth and which to fix first. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.